Have you ever wondered if someone can actually hear from God? They use statements like, God said or God told me. But you really want to know, did God really speak to them?
When you hear someone say something to you, you have to listen and discern what is that feeling that you get in your chest? What is that feeling that you get in your heart?
Are we so insecure that we got to put God said on top of it? Maybe that's what it really is, that we insecure. We don't have no confidence in what we say. And so we have to throw God on top of it to make people feel like we're legitimate.
Well, in today's episode, we begin our series, I'm Tired of This Church. And we navigate through all of the God said moments.
But it's the part for me is when the God said becomes a control mechanism to like maneuver people through different places and faces and phases of their lives. And that's the part when it's not good.
It's way more nuanced than that. It's not so black and white like, yes, that was God. No, that wasn't.
Right.
It's something that has to be discerned.
With 20 years of ministry experience, we want to help you to explore the tough questions and help you go deeper in your faith journey.
Well, welcome to Unfiltered with SteveVon and Britt. This is a safe space
helping you to freely think
and discover what you believe. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody?
What's good?
Welcome back to the podcast. I don't know if we did this episode 1, but we're going to make up for it right now. We want to introduce ourselves.
Yeah, I'm SteveVon Lamar.
SteveVon Lamar, and I am Britt Tashay, and we're your host of the podcast. So we're so excited because we are starting what I guess church people are used to hearing as a series, right?
Right.
But it is a series because we will talk about it week after week, but a different topic within it. So we want to introduce to you, I'm tired of this church.
I'm tired of this church.
And this, if y'all seen that video or that meme of that little boy, and we'll put it up on the screen for you guys, who just hand that mic back. He was like, I'm tired of this church.
Tired of this church.
That's what we get to do, is just kind of go through different cliches, different things happening within the church, different, quirks and different things we've experienced that we're tapped out.
Yeah, I'm
done.
Tired of it.
We call quits on it. So that's what we're going to be navigating in today. The topic for our episode, is stop lying on God.
Stop it.
Stop it. Just stop.
Next time they do it, tell them to stop it.
And the whole thing behind this is that we've all heard, especially in the black church, someone who has said, the Lord told me to tell you, and God said this. It might have been in a preach moment. It might have been somebody pulling you to the side in the parking lot or anything where people are saying that they're speaking for God. And you walk away like, but did he really know?
Really? Like trying to speak for the man. He can speak to who we need to speak to.
Exactly. So we're going to get all into this topic. But first, we want to start with our first segment, which is called Go Off.
Go off.
You just take me by surprise every time when you do that.
I'm going to do a different one every time.
So Go Off, it's all about us just speaking our mind, letting it out, just get it off your chest. This is your moment.
It's a vent moment.
Remember, this is a safe space now, so you can vent. You can do it.
Venting session. You can do it. Get you a vente, latte, and vent about whatever you want to go off about.
I knew you were going to say that. That's what's funny. He's always doing puns and stuff like that. Very clever mind. But okay, so let's get into the go off segment. So today, I want us to go off on something that is just... It's so annoying. I want us to go off about the TikTok ban. The TikTok ban.
We're not talking about the rumpa pum bum.
No,
we're talking about
not a band. The band. Yeah, the band. Let's go off
so
about
annoying.
It. So this is, I'll share because, and I'll let you, get in on there. But for me, we're both content creators, but I have begun to build a community and find my audience, I guess you can say.
Community.
Which is a community of women and men, but mostly women, who are on a journey of weight loss and who deal with PCOS or infertility. Yeah. And we are just, it's growing. Yeah. And in comes this TikTok ban. Like,
haters.
The government doesn't have anything else that's more important to focus on, right?
I mean, speaking of a ban, we got a lot of things we could probably ban.
Could ban. We really do. But they want to ban TikTok, and I want us to go off about it because why do you think? Like, we've talked about this together. Yeah. But I want you to go off and share your thoughts on the TikTok ban.
My thing about the TikTok ban, it goes back to control. We kind of talked about it in the first episode, but it's like the government wants to control and control the consumption and also what the content that we put out, right? And so the content is the news that we get a lot of times through our phones faster than they can actually get it to the TV. And so, and it's not just about the efficiency of the news getting to us and the timing, it's also the type of content. It's like, oh, we've never heard about some of the stuff that we've learned about politics, about religion, about faith, about things that like they told us that wasn't true, that's not in books, that it was in books, things they omitted, things they didn't tell us, or they added or hid or whatever, right? And or what's happening over in another country that we can't see, because for years they would tell us send money for relief and all these different things. So now we have opportunity to see it for ourselves, and the power literally is in our technology, like what we're using right now to even send this to you and let you be able to see this right in our hands. And they don't want us to have that power. They don't want us to have that control. So they're trying to snatch it back. And people think it's just about dancing, the dancing app, and it's not even about dancing if you haven't really used TikTok. But it's like, oh well, we just, it's just safety issues and it's because of China. And it's like, I'm gonna be real. Can I pause and go off about this?
Please.
I mean, like, how many times are we gonna blame it on China? I mean, just let's be honest. We blame everything. We blame the pandemic on China.
No,
COVID on China.
Oh, wow.
I feel bad for
That's
my
crazy.
Chinese friends and brothers and sisters. I'm sorry. It like the fact that they might have done some stuff in the past, but the fact that they actually are blaming everything on China is wild.
It's crazy.
But let me go off some more. The fact that you actually shipped a lot of our business to China, do you have no problem with that?
Right, exactly.
I mean, in school, every pencil said made in China, and all the products that we use said made in China. You don't have a problem with them making our product for cheap, but you have a problem with them creating something where we can actually talk and have a forum to communicate amongst the people. And that's the thing that scares me about why this ban is happening, is because they want to take back our control and take back our voice. But we got to find a way to not let that happen.
Yeah, man.
We need to ban the ban.
It's so crazy,
You know?
because when we were talking about it one day with our family, we were kind of going off in the chat. Nobody wasn't really saying anything back, but it's affecting us as content creators. So I kind of realized while like texting that they don't want us to have two E's. They realize this app does two E's for us. It educates us and it empowers us.
Yes. And they want to lie and tell us it's entertaining us.
Exactly. That's good too. And it is entertainment on there as well. So they want us to stay in the dark about things, because traditionally the mainstream media was our news outlet, which is heavily controlled by the government. You can see it when you watch the news. You can see which side of the news is Republican and which side of the news is Democrat. You have your networks where if you want to hear what you believe, you can go to those networks.
Your echo chambers.
Exactly, your echo chambers. And they literally will share what they want and control that setting, so that you know there are so many topics that are not covered that need to be covered. And I'm telling you that certain things happened in 2020 just because of TikTok. Whether it was the protesting because of George Floyd, may he rest in peace, even though he didn't die in peace. That whole awareness that was raised, and the unity, that's the empowerment that I'm talking about. The unity of, you can see all these different races of people coming together against injustice. TikTok helped with that. Not every platform, Facebook, Instagram, no, those platforms are about aesthetics, and that's cool. It's aesthetics and entertainment over there. I go over there for that. But TikTok shows you everything. You know, it empowers you to see the truth, the news that is not being reported in mainstream media. I've learned so much about politics that I've never even heard of. I've learned so many things that I had
about
wolves.
Policies.
Yeah, policies.
Bills, different things that we didn't know about.
Yes, we literally had wool over our eyes and just didn't know because our sources, our echo chambers, were telling us something different. And so TikTok has helped to educate and empower. It has helped to empower so many business owners and content creators, so many people that have created whole streams of revenue. Can you imagine a small business that was able to build up an income and really
an empire,
spread, and then you just say, oh, it's about to be banned. Well, that may be their main source of income, you know? So, I mean, it's teaching me to, of course, as a content creator, not put all of my chips or my eggs in one basket and kind of spread it out. But it also is showing me how controlling and manipulative the government can be in the same token. So it's always pretty much to be prepared.
Right. It's
be
coming.
Prepared for the unexpected and the expected. Just always stay ready, so you don't have to get
we've
ready.
seen it. We've seen many waves of this, right?
Yeah.
You know, with cryptocurrency, it's like, oh, well, it's untapped. It's not controlled. We got to find a way to control it, right?
Yeah.
And then they started controlling that. It's just so many different waves where, like, when we come together as people, even down to affordable housing, I've seen people come up with, like, 3D printing homes and all that stuff. They want to find a way to put their stamp on it because they want to make sure that they can say, we control this. We control the market. Even down to, like, let's be honest, people smoking marijuana. Like now people can smoke it, right? Now people can sell it. Like, you know how many brothers have been put in jail or sisters been put in jail because they sold that, right? And it's like now they can be free because it was what do you deem it as, a plant, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's because what happened was it was being sold and they weren't getting the revenue. So now they got to put some control on it and I gotta get my cut from it. You know what I'm saying? And when you realize that, you're like, oh no, because when you're in the dark, you're like, this is wrong, it's tearing our streets up. It's like, in the suburbs they were smoking it too, like, but you know, a lot of those guys that's even in the in politics smoking it, like, so what I'm saying, and they smoke some stuff that ain't even just weed, right? But it's all about control, and if you can control it and we have dollars on it, then we'll let you do it, you know. And that's the part that's scary, and that's another thing you need to deconstruct from is the control of the government and the control of policies that honestly we don't even look into sometimes, especially when it doesn't really concern us. And that's deconstructing and decolonizing, where you step away from the colony. That part is so important. The colonization of what we've been taught to believe as a nation and our framework and all of that crap. Like, we have to really tear those layers down. And one thing I want to touch back on, pull those roots up. And one thing I want to touch back on that you said is, we could be banning so many other things. Like, our Congress came together and agreed to ban TikTok. Like, I mean, like, it took no time, because they're being exposed. I mean, we're seeing how much money they're making in the stock market. Like, people are exposing that. We're seeing, like, what they're voting, you know, stuff that would never be covered in the news. So we're seeing some of the corrupt things that's happening in government that is being exposed on TikTok. So they don't like that. So they want to ban it. They don't want us to see what's really happening in Palestine. Come on. They don't want us to see that because they're sending all of millions of aid and all of that to Israel. They don't want us to see the truth behind this genocide. Seeing families die, kids dying.
Innocent.
All they want is a sandwich. Like, all they want is some food. Literally, I seen a video because of TikTok. A kid running to the camera and said, I just want to be able to play soccer again. I just want to be able to get around my friends again. They're not going to show you that. They're going to say, no, this is what's really happening, and this is the crazy part, and it might be some of that stuff, but they're only showing you one side, right? And that's the part that stinks. Like, I think the other day we just seen a picture that even outside of this to go with government, Osama bin Laden sitting next to Bush, like President Bush. Like, come on. Like, you saying this guy terrorized our country. He's a bully. He did all this, but y'all sitting and dining together because we ain't never seen that picture before. But see, with the worst thing they gave us, they thought they gave us internet. They gave us a camera too, though. So now we can tell our own story. And we have the power of information. So they can ban TikTok, another app will come. They can ban whatever. And if we learn how to stick together, that's the key. Ubuntu. I think that's like a like an African phrase or a meaning, like that everyone matters. Like we're all one because of each other.
Yeah.
And when you understand like the unity piece, then it doesn't matter. They can take all that stuff, but they can't take the unity from the people.
That's
you know
good.
what I'm saying? And so I think that's the part where we're living in that place where they're trying to control us so we don't stay unified.
That's
you know?
so good. So, United States government.
United. Let's be united.
And you can go ahead and ban AR-15 weapons from causing mass shootings in our country. You can ban inflation and figure that whole situation out.
You can probably ban opioids too.
Yeah, you can do that. You can help with health insurance. It can be free.
Yeah.
Ban the cost of health care, or even prescription drugs, because that's ridiculous, the price of those. There's so many things that you can attend to. Be banning. TikTok is not one of them.
Right.
So, yeah, we just had to go off on that for a little bit. So, yeah, we want to hear you, though. Go off in the comments and let us know. How do you feel about the TikTok ban? You can put it in the comments, or you can tap the link in the show notes or in the description and leave a voice note so we can hear what you have to say.
We want to feature you on our pod with us.
Yes, let us know.
Come to our virtual couch.
So, with that being said, let's go ahead and go into our next segment, and it's called... What does that even mean?
That's when they like get in the like same octave.
You were like trying to be in the same tone.
I was trying to find it, Remember that boy? Remember that at your dad's church? Like I was like, find my key, find my key.
Oh my gosh, ridiculous. So, what does that even mean? So let's give a little background. I always like to just kind of tell you guys what the segments are, at least for now, as we are introducing these new concepts. Yeah. What does that even mean is literally the beginning of our deconstruction journey. Before we even knew we were deconstructing, we would sit around and have conversations and ask, what does that even mean?
Literally, like we got so like angry at one point, like, what does that even mean? Like, because it's like, you just keep hearing the same thing over and over. And you're like, yo, I call cap. Like, I don't understand what this is meaning. I just know what to say. I know the cliche.
Yeah.
But like, we want to dive into it a little further, and that's what this segment is about.
Absolutely. And today's topic is so perfect to talk about. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Stop lying on God.
On God.
Stop lying on God. Like I just want to jump right into it.
Let's do it.
There's so many times where we hear people say, God said, or the Lord told me, or all of these things, and you really just question, like, but really, did he really tell you that? Or you have this thing in your heart, maybe it's a little bit of discernment that's like, or sometimes maybe you feel like, amen, like you agree.
Right, yeah,
you really feel like it is. I'm not saying that it's not a word from God, and I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying, have you ever thought to yourself, wait, but is this really God saying this, or is this just something that the person is saying?
Right.
So I want to get into this first question. Is there a particular time that you felt like someone was lying on God?
Several times. More times than not, to be honest.
Can you, you don't have to give names or anything, but do you have any detail?
I mean, for me, I would say I don't really have like a specific time. I can say a specific feeling. For me, when I know they're lying on God, is like when it's heavy with manipulation, like heavy, like controlling, heavily like trying to like get you to do something. So like they're like, okay, I can put God on it. If I put God on it, like sprinkling this little something. Putting a cherry on top, like, oh, now it looks better. Like, no, I still see you. Like, and that's the part too about discerning. It's like, it's a feeling. Like, I know that's not what it is, or maybe I'm missing it. But most times, like, I'm pretty like dead on because I'm a discerner. I can feel when people are trying to manipulate or shift or try to make something feel like it's not what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be real with you. It just doesn't feel right. It's kind of like.
Cringy.
That's the best word. Super cringy. Shout out to my Gen Zers. Yeah. It's super cringy. And it's like, it makes you have a bad taste in your mouth. Like, really? You could just say, I feel this. Yeah. Like, this is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, are we so
You might as well have said that.
You might as well. I mean, like, are we so insecure that we got to put God said on top of it? Maybe that's what it really is, that we insecure. We don't have no confidence in what we say. And so we have to throw God on top of it to make people feel like we're legitimate, or it's like, you know, that's God backs this now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he doesn't. I've been in several rooms where I've heard that different things, and I've seen it come to pass at times. But this is also the thing that I would ask, like, have you ever heard? What's one of the most ridiculous God says you heard?
Okay, so I have two that are just kind of glaring at the forefront of my mind. Okay. These two things, they just really grind my gears. Okay.
Gets my gears going.
Yes. The first one is when people say or prophesy that God told them who would win the Super Bowl, or God told them who would win the NBA finals. Like, or whatever sport you insert that there, but it's most times like really big events, sporting events, most popular events. That is so annoying to me. Listen, I know God cares about all of us, but I just don't think God cares who gonna win the Super Bowl. Like, why is that so pivotal to our lives?
It's not.
You know
He's
what I'm
not
saying?
tripping about a football game.
Like, why would God care about telling you that to tell us? Maybe if he told you so you could bet and win the lottery or something, or hit on DraftKings. Is that the name of that?
Yeah, DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Pick.
Maybe
we'll do some ads if you want us to.
Right, call us if you want some ad space. But like, if he was telling you for you, then okay, you know, got you the plug. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, that's cool. But because you're announcing it to us and making us, like, I don't know, is that to validate, like you said, is that for us to know that you are a real man of God and you got it right? Because when you get it wrong, it looked like, well, I guess he wasn't a man of God. It's the exact opposite.
One big prophet, I forgot his name. He got it wrong. Like a couple.
Well, do you want to say his name?
I don't care. Brian Carter. He said that's his name, right? Yeah, he was like saying who was gonna win the Super Bowl was off. Like,
he was so wrong.
He was so off. Like,
so now what does that leave you? Do you look like now you're not a man of God?
So now I'm like questioning.
I'm questioning everything you say now.
Now I'm about to question the spiritual stuff you say, because you put yourself out there for something that was not even necessary. Like, God wasn't asking you to give your input. Nope. You all on live telling people,
right? Like,
totally wrong, my guy.
It has nothing to do with anything. So the second one, woosah.
What is it?
It's the biggest one for me. It's when they say they're up there preaching, doing their whole moment, and they about to wrap up and get ready to close, and they say, the Lord told me for you to give $316 seed because John 3:16 says, like, come on. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous.
And that's just John 3:16. You know what I'm saying? The what do they say? The golden verse of the Bible or whatever. But like, they will literally pull a scripture, or they preached on that scripture, and
it gets crazy.
John 1:1. You need to give a $11 seed. I don't care how big or small it is. It's just like, come on now. If you want to just match the number to the scripture, just say that.
Just say it,
but don't say God told you to, because then they're gonna say, oh, what John 3:16. Okay, so then they're going to apply that scripture to the word that's going to be released over your life. Mm-hmm.
We speak that right now.
God gave his only begotten son so that whosoever believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. See, God told me to tell you to give a $316 seed so you can have everlasting life. Nothing in your life will perish. So crazy, like, come on.
Give a 316 for a 360. Hey, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, we can just do it. Hey, you got to do that. Hey, pull it back. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, as we have all the antics, you know, and I'm not saying that God doesn't say, but it's like, I told my friend today, literally, I was talking to him today, I'm like, I don't think God's that concerned about our lives. And it was crazy because
about what?
About our lives sometimes.
Our
lives? Our lives.
No.
Like our lives. Like, oh, I didn't make that move. I didn't go here. So like, oh man, God's gonna be mad at me. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't really think it's like that crazy. Mm-hmm. One, and then we had this dialogue, which is crazy because you gotta be careful who you deconstruct with. I wouldn't use
the word concerned, because I do think he's concerned about every detail of our lives, or our lives.
Yeah, but I think he's
not
losing
worried
it, like, oh
or
my
tripping about our decisions, if we turn right or left, or do yes or no, right or wrong.
But he said this when I said this to him, which is crazy, because it's like life choices. Like, oh man, did I make the right decision? Should I go here? Should I go there? What McDonald's should I eat? Should I do this? Should I work out? We do a lot of that. That's what I'm kind of saying. Like even down to those little things. And that's cool if you micro your life, but even the macro, like, okay, if the God still is God, regardless, he's sovereign. And that's a whole nother thing to learn and figure out, right? That he reigns regardless, right? He's the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, regardless, right? No matter what we face or what we go through. But he said this to me. He was like, at the end of the day, man, like, you know, when they say it's predestined, our lives are predestined, it made me think it's like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean we have only like this path or that path? And you know how we feel, like we don't believe that, like you guys may not know this, but we don't believe in just binary thinking.
Right.
So it's like not either left or right. And
black
that's
and
it.
white.
You know, like black or white, like, or God has this one person for me. I didn't get him, so I missed out. Like come on, man. So it's like what happens is he was talking about being predestined. I'm like, but then that just like makes it feel weird when you say we got free choice.
Right.
Wait, which one is it?
Yeah.
Is it predestination? Something's already written and set for me? It's predetermined? It's already written in stone? Or do I have free will? Which one is it?
Right.
And so then it makes you feel weird about it. Yep. Like, right? It's like, so then that's where you have these cognitive dissonance, these moments where you have to like, oh, that don't make sense. Because what happens if you say God said it don't, and it's God didn't say? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? Just sit around and like, oh, my bad. Like, do you come back and be like, yo, I was off on that one?
Right.
Actually, it was really, I thought about this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying don't have confidence in it, but like, I want to ask the question. I don't know how you feel, but like, have you ever really heard God say anything to you?
Woo. Okay. So here's the thing. And we can get into this conversation because I feel like that's where we're going anyway. But I feel like I've said that God has said, or, you know, I feel like God is saying, but really, I've even been taught this and I don't know. I feel like it's kind of wrong.
It was like helpful, saying it, probably.
But it was saying that God's voice typically sounds like your own. I don't know if you ever heard that before.
I have.
Okay. And to me, that sounds just a little narcissistic.
Yeah, it's just a tad.
Just a little.
I've even heard someone say like, it sounds like your pastor.
Yes.
That sounds really
that's
narcissistic.
very narcissistic. But that's why now I more so lean into it. I can respect if someone says, I feel, or I have an impression, you know, the Lord is impressing on my heart, or I feel like I should share this with you, you know, and I don't think we should put so much weight on it being God said this or God said that, or if he did or didn't. I mean, I guess that's your belief. I'm not here to tell you what he did or didn't say, because it could be God saying it. Right.
Like, I mean, according to the Bible, like, these guys, men, Moses, all these different guys in the Bible, Abraham, God said this, God said that. He used an angel to speak to him. It was the angel speaking on behalf of God, right? There's different times, right? Mary gets a word from God about Jesus, you know? So it's like, these are many different stories where he spoke to people. So through an angel, right? So sometimes it wasn't just through his voice, it was like an angel appeared. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, a lot of people want to ask, like, how many angels have you seen? That's a whole nother thing, right? Because like, before we even get to God said, what did the angel say? Did the angel show up? Like, do angels still work? Do they still do their thing? Do they still become messengers? Like, and I'm just being real because it's okay to have these conversations, but like, this is where I was when I was a kid. Like, I think my deconstruction really started when I was a kid, because my mom said when I was young, I used to like have the Bible under the covers with a flashlight, because we had no phones like that back in the day, and I would be trying to search the scripture, and I used to be looking like talking to God at night, like late at night, 5, 6, 7 years old, like, God, are you real? Like, who's your dad? Who's your mom? Asking all these questions, and I just went to sleep with no answers. Right? And still to this day, I still don't have those answers. And somebody will be like, his ways are higher than my ways, our ways, and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, some of the stuff we do need answers for, and we have questions, right? And so for me, I say all that to say this. It's like, if he is speaking to you, like, how often? What does he sound like? Or if you're someone struggling to hear him, how can they hear him?
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I would err on this side. I mean, like, even being a pastor, even being just a Christian, I'm gonna be honest, man. can't recall how many times I heard him speak to me like audibly.
Yeah.
Not even an angel.
Yeah.
I think I've felt like a couple times my whole life, to be honest. It's like, yo, and then it was something that confirmed it, like, yo. But it also, like you said, can just be a feeling. It could be an impression. It's a discerning. I call it God nods. Like he like nods at that, or he leans towards something. You're like, oh, that connects. It's a connecting thing for 2 years ago, or you felt that last week, and now you see it this week, right? And so I think it's just instances where you feel these impressions and intuitions that God actually leans you into. Yes. But I don't know if I really can say he always is speaking. Yeah, that's more of the thing that I really want to say when it challenging this God said situation.
Yeah, that's so good. I love the God nods because it's so practical. Yeah. Because you can just, I don't know, it's like a feeling of confirmation, if you will. Right. Like if you feel like you're onto something, like God is like hinting at something, right? You know,
that's so good. I love that, onto something. The picture I just had in my mind, like, it's one of our favorite movies, National Treasure, is that? And it's like they're on a journey. Literally what we're talking about, our deconstruction is, and hopefully yours is, it's a journey to discovery. While they're on the journey, they find pieces of this, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, now that makes sense to this next thing, and to this next thing, and it's discovery throughout the journey. I think we should lean more towards that and live in curiosity more so in like absolutes. You know what I'm saying? And like matter of facts, like, oh, I know, like, no, I actually am curious. I don't really know what's happening. I don't really hear his voice all the time. I wish I could. And then maybe I will experience it more, or maybe I'll see him more in different things. And I think that's what it is. Because sometimes he's not saying something, he's showing something.
Yeah, that's good. And I think what you said is so beautiful because it paints the picture that it's more nuanced. It's way more nuanced than that. It's not so black and white, like, yes, that was God. No, that wasn't. It's something that has to be discerned.
And discovered.
Yeah, discerned and discovered. I love that. So I want to play a video of something. We're going to share something here on your, or you can hear it, or if you're watching, you can see it. Where one of the voices in our lives that have helped us in navigating in this deconstruction journey actually came from TikTok. So TikTok, please don't, you know TikTok. What I'm saying? Like, don't ban TikTok. But anyways, this voice is just been so pivotal to our deconstruction journey, and we're a part of the community, the Patreon community.
Yes, we are.
And we really hope to have him on our podcast one day. It's like a big like hope of ours. This is a pastor, content creator. He is leading a movement that is so amazing. His name is Pastor Christian A. Smith. And I want us to play this clip for you guys, and we'll come back and discuss it.
So if I say I hear a voice from God and that seems spooky to you, if the voice leads me to love, let me keep the voice. If the voice leads me to justice, let me keep the voice. If the voice leads me to mercy, let me keep the voice. God is still talking. God is still using God's voice to get messages to God's people. Now, I know some people are really logical. Everything has to be substantiated. But let me tell you something. If somebody says they hear the voice of God, let them hear the voice of God. If you can't connect to the voice of God, maybe that voice just ain't for you. The question is not should people hear a voice, but the question is, what does that voice lead them to do? And who does that voice lead them to be?
Wow.
So good.
So good.
I love that last question. What does that voice lead them to? And who does that voice lead them to be? And to me, that leads us to our next thing, is that we have to learn how to discern. You know, discern what people, it's not even discerning the voice of God, because that's a whole other thing that I feel like is a personal journey that you have to go on for yourself. No one can tell you what the voice of God sounds like. Only you can know that. Right. And so, at least in my opinion, I'm not going to speak for you. I'll speak for myself. And I feel like we have to go on a journey to, when you hear someone say something to you, you have to listen and discern, what is that feeling that you get in your chest? What is that feeling that you get in your heart?
Right.
Is this leading me to, you know, the things of, like, is this leading me to the heart of God?
Right.
Is this leading me to his characteristics?
Right. His attributes.
Do I feel icky when I hear it? Do I feel cringy? Do I feel affirmed?
Yeah.
Do I feel hope arise? Do I feel love? Like, really check in, no matter if it's a negative feeling or positive feeling.
Right.
Check in with yourself and see, how does this make me feel?
Right. I think that's awesome. I think even down to like peace. Right. It's like, you know, we talk about a lot of like places with God. Like we can get in the shadow of the Most High, and we talk about all these different places that we can rest in Him. But a lot of times we don't talk about how we can discover Him through the things He's leading us to. Like he just said, like, where is the voice leading you, and how is the voice causing you to lead to change? To be honest, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, not to be funny and not to like change the energy of where it's going. But I've heard a lot of people that say that God spoke to them or told them something, and they're the meanest people.
Yes, I was just about to. You're not changing the direction, because I was just about to say.
Maybe I feel it, right?
Oh, yes.
It's like you're the meanest, you're the nastiest. You talk the nastiest to people, but God speaks to you.
Because the reality of it is that sometimes people who speak for God can also use and manipulate God's voice. You know, they can use the voice of God as a manipulative tactic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To control and make people do what they want them to do, or give what they need them to give, and meet this budget. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being real. Like, it can become very toxic.
It's heavily in the charismatic movement, Pentecostal movement at times. It's like, and it's consistent. It's the same old way. You can go to a church right now, and it's the same way from like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's like, it's crazy, because even like when we used to be at your dad's church, your dad, like, very prophetic, honestly, very gifted, you know, but like, it would be times where like he'd be preaching a word that's very helpful for people, and they weren't as loud, and our church would be popping. I ain't gonna lie. It used to be rocking it. I ain't gonna lie, in Detroit. But it's like, at the same time, to see life change was very low, but there would be times where he would prophesy and the lines would be full. People would bring their friends, their family. We'd be in other places, even in college. We had like these miracle healing services. Man, it's packed out, because people really are self-serving themselves. So then in a way, I almost feel bad for some of the pastors and preachers, because it's like, well, this is what the people want. This is what I'm going to give them.
Well, people just want hope.
Exactly. That's so good. That's exactly what it is.
People want hope. So if you think about
hope and help.
Yeah. So Christian A had this video where he was talking about people, like when a pastor or a prophet is up and they're, you know, preaching, and they're up there talking about, oh, the Lord, I feel the Lord saying, and people just perk up in their seats with the pick me face, right? They're ready. They're just like, pick me, give me a word, right? And it's because people just want help, and they just want hope. They want somebody to speak something better into their life, something better into their situation. You know, they just want to feel good about, why do we even go to church a lot of times, right? It's to get a word that can encourage us, you know, and get us ready for the rest of our week. We can conquer the rest of our week. That's why a lot of times people, you know, who go to church on Sunday and Wednesday, that midweek, they need it at the beginning of the week and the middle of the week. Like, I need another stop.
I need a double dose.
So I feel like it's no fault of their own for wanting a word from God, or wanting someone to tell you what God said. It's just like, I'm a go there, you know. It's just like people who want a psychic reading, you know, people who call in to try to get, you know, a reading from someone, and to understand what's going to happen in the future. Are things going to look better? Are things going to get better? Is there any hope in my future? And that's literally all people are, you know, looking for, and that's all that we're hoping for in faith.
That's true,
you know. And so I don't.
And that's what faith is. What faith is, the substance of things hoped for. You can't really get mad at people if they're hoping, you know. And it's crazy, even down to like even the help help side of like people sometimes they can't get it at the church and get it at the hospital, right? They don't get a prescription. They can't get a prophecy. Like at the end of the day, if I can't get that, I'm gonna get it from somewhere else. I need help and I need some hope in some of the things I'm facing.
Absolutely.
And the crazy part is when I think about that, I understand it because I know I need it too.
Yeah.
And it's been times where like in reverse as a youth pastor, I like not trying to do it in a manipulative way, to be honest. I literally just would feel God say certain things to me, or I would feel an impression, as I just said.
Right.
Like, and I remember one time I did that with the young person. I spoke to him. He had a champion hoodie on, and I was like, "You're a champ."
Yeah.
And I mean, he was like probably not paying attention. I think he was talking at the time, but something like God just zoned him out, and I just seen him, and I know that I started speaking into him, and I literally seen him like lift his smile. He was affirmed, and then the next time I saw him, he's like, "You got to call me a champ," you know. And like then he was playing basketball. He's a good basketball player and done a really good job since then. From me watching from afar, it's like, he probably had that in him, but God wanted me to like notice that and affirm that. Yeah. And I can say at times, I felt God lean me into moments. Like I said, God nods, like, go ahead, say something to him. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm about to say. I could be totally wrong. I never seen this kid play basketball. He was the shortest kid on the team. So I could have been totally off, and I was actually right. And there was several times like that, but it was because honestly, even back then, I knew I was deconstructing in certain ways. And so I wouldn't lean into it too much. I wouldn't heavily say God said. I wouldn't heavily be like, I prophesy. I'm just like, I'm speaking to you.
Yeah.
Like you could do that walking down the street to somebody. You can say that to somebody in the break room at work. Like, man, it looked like you've been going through a tough time, man. I'm praying for you. I feel like God's going to do something different for your life. Hoping, like, all you're doing is giving them hope.
Yeah.
But it's the part for me is when the God said becomes a control mechanism to like maneuver people through different places and phases of their lives. And that's the part when it's not good.
Yeah, because to me, I feel like prophecy should always edify and build up and not tear down and destroy. Right. And I feel like a lot of people and voices can be very, destructive and tearing people
divisive.
down. Yeah, divisive, and things that they're saying. I don't care if it's to the whole body of the church and correcting the church, or if it's correcting a person or whatever. Right. It can feel so icky and gross, and I just don't believe that is. At least that's not the God that I serve. I serve a God. I heard another person who we follow, who we want to have on, Donnell Wrights from TikTok. He said that God is love, not God is loving. God is love.
His person.
That means his very person, his very being, everything that is a part of him and his makeup is love. Yeah. So that means that if all of him is love, there can't be any hate found in him. So any time a preacher, pastor, prophet, speaker is getting up and saying anything that God said, and it feels like condemnation, hate, disgusting,
right,
if
rude.
It feels like the opposite of love, then I'm sorry, for me it's not God, right? Because only thing that I can feel from God is love. Right. The very nature and being of him is love. So I want us to, did you have anything else to share?
No, I agree. I agree with that totally. And one thing I want to say that I've learned through my season of just going through with God, and even like when I would talk to our young people, it's like that God is not just like a what, he's a who. Like love is who he is, right? It's not just what he is. Yeah. And I think when you experience God, you realize that. Yeah. Not so like good. This manipulative, controlling thing that people try to put before you. And it's a bunch of rules that you have to live by and a bunch of religion that you have to be controlled by. But you actually get a chance to be able to have a real relationship with him. When you experience that, you will feel that love that he exudes. And it's not just like it's him. Like he is him, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what love is. And I'm so grateful for that. I got a chance to experience it. I'm still experiencing it.
Yeah, still learning it.
Still, for real.
So we want to leave you with just a little advice. If we could give you any advice on how to handle the God said moments, we just want to kind of I don't know, share just a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't know everything and we are not experts, but like the scripture says, silver and gold have I none, but what I do have, I give to thee.
Here you go.
So here we go. Here's a little advice on how to handle the God said moments. Number one, just pay attention to how you feel. When whatever's being said is being said, just hear what they're saying and evaluate it.
Yes.
Evaluate it. Check in with self and ask yourself, how do you feel about this? Excuse me. How do you feel about it? Are there any red flags going off? Ask yourself, do I feel a red flag coming up for me? Is it feeling negative?
Yeah.
Are they asking you to do something that you feel uncomfortable with? Are they saying something that contradicts the heart and nature of God?
Right.
Just begin to check in with yourself and ask yourself these questions. And number two, babe, if you want to do that,
I would say number two is get confirmation from someone you trust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't wait on God to send someone to miraculously confirm it. It's okay, right? You actually can go and seek that counsel from someone that you actually trust and actually knows the character of God and actually knows what it feels like to hear from God, right? And I think that's where you can get some good confirmation, and then that will affirm you in what he said.
Yes.
Or what they say.
That's the community piece. Is always important. And the last one that we want to leave you with is, don't feel bad about being unsure. And don't let the person that's sharing the whole God said thing with you, don't let them make you feel bad or make you feel any condemnation about questioning what they said or seeming as if you don't or may not agree. Because sometimes we can show it on our face. I don't know if that's on point. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And don't let them make you feel like you have to receive this word. I'll tell a funny story right here. You probably remember where I'm going. But
I was waiting for you to say this.
I remember this time where this pastor, he was like, it was at my dad's church, and I think we were like right after we were leading worship or something, and he called me up and doing this whole spectacle thing, about to prophesy and pray over me. And he said something. I don't remember what he says. I wasn't feeling it in my spirit. All of the things I'm telling y'all to do, I was doing even then. It was not in agreement in my spirit. And so I'm just like, just had my hands lifted and I'm listening to him. And he goes to pray for me and he starts to blow on me. Literally. Like blowing on me.
What?
And I'm like, what is happening? So I'm not making any faces or anything, but I'm not moving. Like, I'm just like, okay,
This is weird.
And I'm just praying, like, Jesus, please cover me. Please. I don't know what this breath is doing. And so he just continues to blow on me. And then finally, because I wasn't like falling out, he lays his hand on me. And he bagged me up to probably about the third, fifth row.
You started the first part of the edge of the stage. It was by the drums.
And I was not falling because I'm not that girl. So, just I would not let him make me feel like I had to respond in a way,
right? Any
type of way, and definitely not feel like I had to respond in a way that showed him I agreed,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying be rude and be like, that ain't no word, I bind it or anything like that. Right. I'm just saying that just check in with self and know, don't allow this person to make you feel like you have to say it's a word or you agree. Like, it's okay to question
you don't have to be forced to receive. Okay.
Thank you. You don't have to be forced to receive. Perfect. So we want you to reflect on this.
Please
we want you, while you are in the comments and you're doing your go off about the TikTok ban, add in there, what does this even mean to you?
What does it even mean?
What does this mean? What does hearing the voice of God, or what does someone saying God said mean to you? Right? Like, what does it mean for you to hear someone say to you, God said, the Lord told me. Right. How does it make you feel?
Tell us one of your funniest God said stories, or something. You can even drop one of the best stories that actually came to pass. We're not trying to just say that God doesn't speak,
right?
But we wanted you to actually examine it, like she said, evaluate it, look through it, and make sure that it is from God, you know? And even down to yourself, make sure you ain't saying something that God said and he ain't saying, bro. That ain't it, man. That's not cool.
So let us know in the comments, how do you feel about people saying God said, or that they're speaking from God or for God? So let us know in the comments. And we want to thank you so much for coming back for episode 2 of Unfiltered with SteveVon and Britt. Please, please, please go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share button.
Thumb it up.
You know, do all of the things. And you can also subscribe to our channel here if you're watching, or hit the follow button if you're listening via podcast.
And share it with someone that probably has an interest, that wants to be a part of this community. We would love to have them be a part. Which want everybody to know that they have a safe space here with us.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling froggy, go ahead and leave us a review. On wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a review. We prefer 5 stars. But go ahead and let us know how you feel about the podcast. We would love that. So yeah, we want to thank you once again for listening and watching Unfiltered with SteveVon and Britt. This is a safe space,
helping you to freely think
and discover what you believe.
Peace.